Did you know that there was something living that you could pass down to your friends and family for generations? I'm talking about sourdough, more specifically sourdough starter. For the past 8 months, I've been making 100% of our family's bread products, anything from pastries and cookies to biscuits and loaves of bread. The hardest part about working with sourdough is the beginning, is simply getting started. And today I want to walk you through how to do that on your own. So before you get going, there's a couple tools that you're going to need. You'll need filtered water, flour, salt. You'll also need a Dutch oven. You'll need saran wrap or a plastic bag or a reusable shower cap. You'll also need parchment paper or a reusable baking mat, a jar with a lid to store your sourdough starter. You'll need a dough whisk or a wooden spoon and a lame or a sharp knife. A couple things that aren't really necessary but would definitely make the process easier would be a food scale, a bench scraper, and a proofing bowl. So getting your sourdough starter going is a multi-day process. On day 1, you want to take a cup of flour and a cup of water, mix that thoroughly together, cover it, and let it sit for 24 hours. On day 2, discard or throw away half of that mixture, and then repeat the feeding process. 1 cup of flour, 1 cup of water. For days 3, 4, and 5, you're going to repeat the same stuff as day 2. For days 6 and 7, you're going to do the same, but instead of feeding it every 24 hours, you'll feed it every 12 hours. And by day 7, you should have enough bacteria and yeast going that your starter is now ready to use. So now that we've got our sourdough starter, we're going to make our sourdough dough. So you want to feed your sourdough starter 4 to 12 hours before you need to use it. To feed it, you want to take equal parts of your sourdough starter to equal parts in weight of water and flour. 50 grams of starter, 50 grams of water, 50 grams of flour. So take your sourdough starter, mix in flour, water, salt, whatever other ingredients your recipe might call for. Thoroughly combine those. And at this point, your dough is going to be pretty dry and scraggly. That's super normal. That is because the flour has not had enough time to be hydrated by the water yet. So now we need to help it develop its gluten. After about 30 minutes from initially mixing your ingredients together, you want to slightly dampen your hands. You're going to grab one edge of the sourdough dough and kind of pull it up and wiggle it around to help stretch it out. Place that back down into the dough, turn it, and repeat this process all the way around. That's considered 1 round of stretch and folds. You want to repeat that with 30 minutes increments of rest, at least 2 to 3 times. After you finish your stretch and folds, you'll need to let your dough bulk ferment until it doubles in size. You want to be careful not to let it overproof and go past doubling in size. So once your dough has proofed for long enough, then it's ready to be shaped. On a lightly floured surface, you want to turn out your bread dough. This is typically where the bench scraper comes in handy. So you'll take your bowl, scoop it on out of there. So roughly just kind of shape it out. You're going to fold it onto itself and then roll it up. Keeping the seam side down, you're going to scoot it away from you and pull it towards you while gently turning it until it slowly comes into a ball. Once it's sufficiently in a ball shape, you're going to take your proofing basket, grab it, and turn it seam side up into the proofing basket. If you notice the seams start to separate, gently pinch it back together just to ensure that you don't have any big craters in the bottom of your dough. Depending on how much time you have, you can either put that in the refrigerator for 12 to 15 hours, or you can leave it at room temperature for 3 to 4 hours. However, putting it in the refrigerator does allow you to cut into it a lot easier. So once you've got your dough shaped and it's proofed, you're essentially ready to bake. There's a few final touches to do. The first one being, you can simply score your dough. So you turn it out onto a piece of parchment paper or a reusable baking mat, and you can do at least one long, fairly deep score. It's called an expansion score, and that's to help the bread spread out as it rises. Just like that. Another option would be to sprinkle the dough with some flour first before you score, and that'll help your design stand out a lot more. You want to preheat a Dutch oven for about an hour at 500 degrees. And once that's ready to go and you've scored your bread, carefully place that into the Dutch oven. Replace the lid and bake it for 20 minutes. After that time is up, remove the lid, drop the temperature to 475, and bake it for another 10 to 20 minutes, depending on how golden brown you want your crust to be. Once your bread is finished baking, remove it from the Dutch oven, place it on a wire rack to cool, and let it cool completely before you slice into it so it doesn't result in a gummy texture. And if you've made it that far in the process, then congratulations, you just made your first loaf of sourdough bread. So today I walked you through making your sourdough starter and then turning that starter into dough and then finally a loaf of bread. Baking from scratch at home doesn't have to be difficult, and I wanted to talk to you about that today to disprove that myth. There's also so many benefits from baking at home, particularly with sourdough. Some of the potential benefits from working with sourdough include improved digestion and reduced gluten sensitivity, and both of those are due to the fermentation process. The hardest part about working with sourdough is getting started, is having the courage to try something new and try again if it doesn't work out for you. I'm sorry. Your sourdough starter can benefit you and others for years to come. All you have to do is take care of it. It's similar to wine in that it only gets better with age. Thank you.
Oh, you gotta stay still because you gotta show the people. Oh, my bad. I'll try to stop you like way back.
There we go.
Did you get it?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. I forgot one of my lines and I tried so hard and it was not coming back.